Down the Rabbit Hole would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we record this podcast on. We acknowledge their continuing connections to the land, culture, and community. We pay respect to elders past, present, and future, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.
This episode contains the word penis. You have been warned.
Oh, God. Sorry, I just blasphemed.
Blasphemed.
I said the G word.
The G word. Oh my lord.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole, the podcast where we try and answer those tough questions our kids ask us. We research the questions and come here to discuss the answers we find, and some of the more interesting aspects of the rabbit holes we fall down. Warning, we are not experts on the topics we discuss. Enjoy! I'm Karter, and rumour has it the man joining me today is the brains behind the invention of coffee. Felix, welcome.
G'day, Carter. Sorry, I didn't mean to say I invented coffee. I just can't live without it.
I see the miscommunication there.
Slip of the wrist.
And this week's special guest, rumour has it, he was actually the brains behind the invention of coffee. Bagel, welcome.
Well, the question is, was it the invention of coffee or the discovery? Because it is a natural thing.
That's what they want you to believe.
No, well, wouldn't that be that's what I want you to believe?
See, now you get it.
But do you get it?
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm just confusing myself now. I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's going to be the start of the episode.
Oh.
Today's episode is brought to you by marshmallows, because I'm hungry.
And I look like one.
So that the listeners can get to know who we are, each week we give them the opportunity to ask the three of us a question. If you'd like to ask us a question, you can find the link in the form in the show notes below, or on our website, rabbitholepod.com. This week's question is, what podcast are you listening to at the moment?
I don't listen to too many podcasts. I think they're a waste of time, to be honest. Except this one, of course. But actually, I am listening to one. It's Russia If You're Listening, from that series that Matt Bevan records. It's quite interesting. A look at the invasion, the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a return to Russia if you're listening, because they're going through a few different iterations. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, actually, I think it's the second episode where they hone in on Zelensky and the first day or the first few days and how what he did changed the entire course of the war. One of the best episodes I've heard, to be honest.
Yeah, I had no idea. Obviously, I saw him all of a sudden, but I didn't know the backstory. So it was a very interesting episode to find out more. How about you, Bagel?
Sorry, what was the question then? I wasn't paying attention.
Ah.
I'm joking. The most recent podcast that I've listened to, I haven't actually listened to one in a while. Other than, of course, this weird indie podcast called Down the Rabbit Hole. It's got two old guys in it and some other guy. It's a whole thing, really. But the most recent podcast that I've listened to, what would it be? I'd have to say and now I'm going to sound like the third old guy on the podcast, was the Barstool Sports Foreplay podcast, which is their golf podcast.
Are you a golf player?
Yes, not very good. I call it something else, which is not appropriate to say on the podcast. It's whack something, and we'll just leave it at that. But the reason I watched it, though, was because... no,
Whack
it starts
ball?
with F and rhymes with truck, and we'll just leave it at that.
Whack fire truck.
That's it.
Yes.
Exactly. Nailed it. The reason I listened to it, though, is because there is a lovely woman named Paige Spiranak. If you know who she is, I have no doubt you know exactly who I'm talking about. But she recently had an internet feud with an alt-right conservative in the US, and well, let's just say that he looked like a bit of an idiot at the end of it. It was quite fantastic.
I mean, isn't that often the case? I haven't heard of that or her, but sounds interesting. I am listening once again. Thank you for asking. I am listening to. Actually, I've just finished listening to Russia If You're Listening, which I found again after listening to things that Britain stole.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Oh, is it
Which-
the artifacts one or something?
Yeah. So all the things they've stole as they conquer different nations.
I
Yeah.
heard about this as well.
It's really interesting just to hear the different stories and anyway. But so I've just finished those two and looking for another one.
How was your week, everyone? Carter, why don't we begin with you, seeing as you weren't asked last time?
Yeah, thanks. Anytime. That's right. I always ask you things to last, so I've got to change that up. How's my week? Okay, just a quick one. I'll try and be quick. My boss a few years ago said to me, I don't finish with the kids until like 7:30. I don't stop. Like, get home from work and it's just go, go, go. I'm thinking, what is he talking about? It can't be that hard, dealing with the kids overnight. Of course, this was before I had kids.
I've met your kids. It is.
Yeah, they're on the go. Tonight, it was just go, go, go. And it's just a realization of, oh, yeah, I remember how naive I was. So, yeah, that pretty much sums up my week.
There's this big realization around about day 0 of the birth of your first child. Actually, you know what?
It's probably a couple of days or weeks of bliss, but then yes.
No, don't remember that. You had a very different experience to me. I was in the hospital with my first child. We were about to leave, and they're like, "Okay, you can leave now." And I'm like, "What? With the child? Alone? Who's coming? Like, what are we supposed to do now? I haven't even put the car seat in. Hang on a sec. This cannot be real."
Yeah, that's when you really know you have to be grown up. Like that's next level.
That was weird.
How about yours, Felix?
I had fun trying to get a car from Orange in the central west, I guess, of New South Wales to my home in Sydney with the engine light flashing.
Ooh.
The hardest bit was because the car rattled, the engine performance control system wasn't working, and I had to somehow get this thing up Mount Victoria. It was a struggle.
That sounds great.
I mean, I've ridden up Mount Victoria before, so is it much better in a car when you're...
I wish I had been doing it on a bicycle.
I thought that might be the case.
Yeah. How was your week, Bagel?
I actually started my brand new job this week.
Oh,
So
nice.
I've just been kind of going through all the inductions and stuff like that. However, I did get a lot of unsolicited opinions about something this weekend, and it's
About your new job?
No, not about my new job.
Oh, what was it about?
About a certain thing that I did recently, and it also coincides with my name. I got a tattoo on my bicep. Ever since I got said tattoo, I have gotten many very unsolicited opinion from my parents, who are very disappointed in me and tried to disown me at least 3 times.
Oh, that surprises me.
That was in the first 20 minutes that I would sort of show them.
3 times? Okay, I would have thought it was a little bit less than that, but...
No, it was a bit of a, let's call it a scandal within the family.
Oh, dear.
Yes, they were not impressed, and so therefore I did a little bit of research into tattoos this week to try, let's say, to encourage them to broaden their horizons a little bit.
Can we just get a quick description of your tattoo, Bagel?
It's a cartoon bagel with a bite out of it.
Oh, nice.
Looks great.
I still argue it needs to have legs and arms. Arms and legs.
Yeah. I will say, though, unfortunately, lots of my research shows that tattoos have a lot of negative connotations behind them and what they were used for. So I may or may not be using this as a rebuttal. And by may or may not, I absolutely will not.
So we're talking like drunken bets and dares.
No. So I kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole, and we're talking Southeast Asian origins of tattoos and their meanings and that sort of thing.
Oh,
So I went down a bit of a tangent here. So
that's what we like.
one of the more prevalent ones that I know of and did a little bit of research into is tattoos in Japanese culture.
Mm-hmm.
So as we know, tattoos in Japanese culture is quite frowned upon. They're not necessarily shown. So basically, it's kind of used to signify crime, essentially.
Right.
Okay, because they've got quite intricate designs and covering like all their back.
So you'd think it would be like, kind of cool.
I
Like
would have
you've got
thought so.
these serious tats and they are really intricately done and everything. No, actually, it's actually usually a symbol of organized crime, one of which being the Yakuza.
Oh, okay.
And so quite often tattoos are frowned upon and represent organized crime in Japanese culture, which I thought was quite an interesting one.
Okay.
On to some of the more not fun ones. So I then
Sorry,
went over to
the organized crime was part of the fun ones.
yeah.
Yeah, he's grouped into fun and not fun. Organized crime fun, the rest not fun.
Okay.
Okay, well, one of the things that I went into, another rabbit hole, let's call it, or rather dug a different direction, was Chinese tattoos. One of which being the Dulong tattoos.
Okay.
So the Dulong group is a Chinese minority. And I'm going to quote this here. During the time in approximately 350 years ago, give or take, it didn't really specify an exact date, the people of the Dulong River were under attack from their neighbors. And unfortunately, due to them losing said fights quite often, their women were quite often taken as slaves.
Gosh, I get in arguments with my neighbors, but there's no slavery involved.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a taboo topic, for sure. However, the women of the Dulong region started tattooing their faces in reaction to being taken as slaves.
I thought I knew where this was going, and it's just taken a complete left turn there. I was not expecting that.
I know, right? It really took a turn. And so the thought behind this was the Dulong people, well, the Dulong women specifically, would tattoo their faces in an attempt to make them less attractive and therefore less likely to be taken as slaves or less likely to be assaulted by men.
Wow, so this isn't actually new in Chinese culture, the concept of making yourself look less beautiful to ward off attackers, because there are also some people in the Chinese culture who believe that by saying things like, oh, my children are ugly, they're no good, they're terrible, will actually keep the bad spirits away. Because if they're beautiful, then the bad spirits will want to come and take them. And so by saying negative things about their children, it wards off the bad spirits.
I'm just going to tell myself that that's what my parents told about me, and we're going to move on from that one. See, okay, so now, but interesting. So now we're going to go in another direction. So another Chinese people, the Dai people of China, Dai as in D-A-I. So both of them are both men and women are typically tattooed, and they generally have tattoos on their backs, hands, and arms, and then occasionally have a small dot between their eyebrows.
Oh, like the Indians.
But that's tattoo.
Sure, but this is a tattoo.
Ah.
So among Dai men, the tattoos were seen as a sign of strength and virility.
Okay.
So complete contrast from that.
And so where were they from?
So I never actually found out exactly where these people are from.
Okay,
which
but
is a
in
bit
China.
annoying. In China, yeah, so it's another Chinese culture.
Okay.
And interestingly here, the tattoos were made in such a way to draw attention to their muscles and their bodily physique.
I thought
Okay,
you were
so-
about to say they're dongs, but
Well, no, last time I checked, the dongs aren't on the back, arms, or face. So, not quite.
Well, I don't know. I got called a lot. So, can you beep that part out?
I was going to say, I still get called head a lot. Can you beep that part out too, please? But yes, so quite often they'd have like really strong, strong animals like dragons, tigers, that sort of thing to kind of accentuate their masculinity.
in
And so I
dots.
found
Didn't you say that they were dots, or am I missing something?
the bigger ones as in like on the back and
Okay.
arms and stuff. And so I thought this was quite interesting because you've got two significantly different contrasts, not only within China in the way that tattoos are used to represent people, but also from Japan to China, which I just thought was really interesting.
Absolutely.
I've got a couple of notes written down here because I don't trust myself to actually remember things because I'm a child.
Well, you're doing better than me so far, so
That's awkward. So now we've moved on to another Chinese group called the Li tattoos. So the Li people of, I'm gonna butcher this. I'm sorry to anyone listening. I believe it's the Hainan Island. Hainan.
I think that's where the chicken comes from. The dish.
Hainan
I think
chicken.
that's a dish. Yeah, Hainan chicken rice, I think.
Wait, there's actually a dish?
Just looking it up to make sure. Yeah, Hainan chicken rice. It's a very famous dish in China. Very tasty. If you want to look it up next time you're in a Chinese restaurant
Okay.
that serves Hainan chicken
Can you
rice.
give us a overview of what I'd be expecting with when I order Hainan chicken rice?
Yeah, there's chicken.
Yeah.
And rice.
Is there thanks, Felix.
I think it's poached.
Is there a sauce?
Yeah, pretty sure there's a sauce and tasty sauce.
Okay, Bagel.
Yeah.
Anything else about the Hainan people?
Well, the Hainan people, well, the tattoos. The Li people of the Hainan Islands,
Mm.
Hainan Island. I'm
Say
an
that
idiot.
10 times fast, don't actually.
No, I'm not going to because I guarantee it's going to end up sounding really inappropriate. There's no way it doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
So, tattooing among the Li people was seen as a rite of passage for, specifically women.
Okay, so it's women getting it.
Yes. So, typically early teens would start getting tattooed on their neck and their throat, and then occasionally on their face as well. And the process taking around about a week, give or take.
Oh wow! So that's similar to some of the Pacific Island.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I honestly wouldn't know.
No,
I kept mine exclusively to Southeast Asia because there was just so many, well, just like wildly different reasons for using tattoos. So I just figured I'd stay down this rabbit hole and see how deep it went.
yeah, absolutely.
And so over the next couple of years, they then progressively get arms and legs tattooed.
Okay, so they
But-
start with the face. So
Start with the face.
that's a good
and then
argument to
arms.
that's a good argument for your parents. Hey, I didn't start with my face. That's I'm starting with my arm.
Yeah, the face comes later.
That's right.
Face is definitely not coming later, and I feel like that's well, you've met my parents. I don't think that argument's going to fly very well.
Well, worth a
I
shot.
don't think. Is it? Is it worth a shot? I feel like that's a hill I don't want to die on.
Yeah, your mum scares me.
Yeah, my mum scares me too. But so interesting, they don't tattoo the hands. Only married women were allowed to have tattooed hands, and single women were not.
Well, that's one way to make it forever.
That's one way to make it forever, and it also makes it very easy to find a suitor, because if they've got tattooed hands, no.
You just don't want to be looking the day after they got married, unless they started straight away.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. There wasn't any information on whether they literally started at the ceremony or what, because I feel
It-
like that would be a pretty rough wedding ceremony.
It could be like they do those henna tattoos in some of the South Asian wedding ceremonies, but they might
Oh,
do it.
true.
I think they've already done it by the wedding, and just throwing it out there.
Slightly more permanent though.
Slightly more permanent. Hmm.
It's one way to ensure they don't run away.
That's true.
I mean, fair. I think she's running away though. There's probably indicative of a deeper problem. So,
Well, I think that's a lot of marriages.
and then of course, as we all know, more recent times the use of Chinese tattoos among Westerners.
That is a problem.
Oh, I do love this.
Fried rice.
Which we love because 90% of the time they are terrible.
Especially a couple of years later.
And, well, not terrible, they look nice. But there are many a story going around of people getting some interesting things tattooed on them when they were told it was something else, which we do
Yeah.
love.
Get the Google Translate on that tattoo.
Google Translate, unfortunately, I think is part of the reason for it.
Well, yeah, that's probably true. Or just a naughty tattooer. I have a tattoo on my arm, and it was done in Thailand. Felix was there with me.
Mm.
I did get some Thai script on my arm as a tattoo, as part of the bigger tattoo. And I had to check with a couple of people I trusted who were like they Thai people who spoke the language before I could commit to it, because I wanted to make sure that it was exactly what that person initially told me it was.
Well, here's one for you. Here's a very good one. So this is, and I quote, "There's a story of a young man in England who thought he was having the Mandarin characters for love, honor, and obey tattooed on him.
Who's obeying who?
Later, he found out it actually said, at the end of the day, this is an ugly boy."
Oh dear.
And you know what? I love it. That sucks, but I love it.
Well, at least it's going to scare away the spirits because they won't touch an ugly boy.
Spirits and potential suitors.
That's right.
Only the Chinese speaking.
Oh, that's true. And the Chinese spirits.
Or people who realize that Chinese tattoos are a little bit dicky. Says me, who has one that says golden penis
In Thai.
in Thai.
That's awesome. I don't even want to know.
All suitors who carry around.
Google Translate.
Yeah. I had nothing funny to say.
That was the rabbit hole that I went down this week researching tattoos, and yeah, stumbled upon more of a Southeast Asian focus for today, which I thought was quite interesting. Unfortunately, though, none of it's very helpful when it comes to trying to rebut any argument I have against my parents. So, to be honest, didn't really help me in that regard.
At least I didn't get golden penis. At least it's not on my face. 2 rebuttals. I'm telling you. Start with them.
Mm.
We're really reaching if that's what I'm going to be using.
You mentioned the Pacific Islands too earlier, Carter. Actually, the Samoan tattoos are some of my favorites. They've got some amazing designs. I don't have a tattoo myself, but if I did get a tattoo and I didn't think it was cultural appropriation, I would totally get a Samoan tattoo design on my arm.
I feel like there's many a red flag on that one.
I was going to say, Felix, I think you're the whitest person I know. So maybe getting a Samoan tattoo isn't ideal, but I do understand what you're saying. They do have some remarkable.
I understand the sentiment. I'd probably give it a pass, though.
Oh, wait, is my one cultural appropriation?
Oh.
No, not if you've got golden penis on your arm.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, true. I think that one kind of breaks all barriers, and you kind of you get to keep that one just by default.
I'll tell you what, no one else is going to have it. I guarantee an individual design.
A golden penis. I think that was probably a pretty safe bet. But yes, so that was the rabbit hole for today.
Do you have a dad joke?
Unfortunately, I do not, because I'm not a dad.
People always ask where I got my incredibly detailed tattoo done, but they never believe me when I tell them Spain. Nobody expects the Spanish ink precision.
All right, that one's actually not bad. I don't hate that one.
I'll go with this one then. I'm bald and I'm going to get a head tattoo of multiple rabbits. So from a distance, it looks like hairs.
That's a good one. I actually really like that one. That's good. You win. You got both of us. You win. Well played.
Excellent.
Bagel, how's the best way to contact you?
Well, I'm on Instagram at @NothBagel, so you can find me there.
Sounds good. And Felix?
I think I'm on Instagram now. I'm not on social media until you told me I had to. So I think you can get me on Felix the Newton. I might also be on Facebook, but I don't know if it's the same thing or not.
You sound very computer literate there.
Oh dear.
So I am actually like Felix. I haven't been on social media up until this point. So if you see very few followers, please feel sorry for me and follow me. My handle is at Karter J Newton. Felix and Bagel, thank you for joining us for another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Thank you for the listeners for joining us for this episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you did really like the show, recommend it to a friend. It really does make a difference to get the show out there. You can find our socials on our website, rabbitholepod.com, or in the show notes below. We have a form that will allow you to suggest a topic, ask the host a question, or suggest a recommendation for Bagel's next tattoo. You can find this on our website or in the show notes below. Remember, we are no experts, so if you'd like to connect, condemn, or congratulate us, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening, and goodbye for now.
Awesome.
So I think that's pretty much it.
Nicely
Is that a
done.
wrap?
And that's bang on time. I got 2 minutes left in the meeting.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Went well.
Ooh.
What is it? No.
It's just no. Shut up. No.
Are we gonna have to beep out penis, by the way?
Probably.
Well, I do use the word penis at home with my kids
So do I. I
because
think
that's
it's
proper terminology.
exactly. It reduces a whole lot of stereotypes, stigmas, and also it helps naming when someone touches their penis
Yeah,
inappropriately.
very true. Very true. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with that. Maybe dickhead needs to get beeped out.
Might,
Oh no,
might
that,
have
that
to
one.
beep that one
yeah,
out.
no,
There was
that
two.
one's-
There was two of them because it was your one and then it was my one.
We'll see if I
Yeah.
catch them. I also have to work out how I'm going to beep them. I'm assuming there's a beep function in. Yeah.
Surely there's a beep function. Just add.
Gotta be
Is
a
it not
beep.
like a soundboard, like on the crickets or something? Just go. Eh.
I haven't opened that cricket thing for a while. I might just download an MP3.
Yeah, fair. Alrighty, boys. I'm going to booger off before this whole thing collapses and stops working.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, boys. Enjoy. I will
Laters.
chat to you guys later. Enjoy.
Catch ya.
Cheers.